Will millions inhabit the planet Mars? Mars's capital, Metropolia, is closer than you think. Colossal buildings surround you, and living in small chambers that barely produce enough oxygen is now a thing of the past. Living on the red planet began as something extraordinary, but now there are over 15 million people living in Metropolia, with hundreds of thousands in the surrounding craters and even more beneath its surface. If you want to get technical, there are millions more who've made the orbit of Mars their home. Let me explain how life in the far future could look like. If you're wondering how we got to this point, let me briefly give you an overview of our adventure to our new dusty red home planet. With the colonization of Moon and the establishment of the Lunar Gateway, we were able to send missions to other spatial entities with a drastically reduced amount of fuel. The leftover space could be used to transport materials, passengers, and technology that supports the colonization process, such as rovers and drills. When we gained a foothold on Mars, we immediately started looking for ways to produce everything locally, instead of sending it from the other end of the solar system. This jump-started a civilization built on the most modern advanced equipment available to humankind and started a new era of interplanetary living. Just as developing countries on Earth sometimes received a huge amount of outside help to reach prosperity, Mars was a project that unified all countries and showed the unfathomable power we, as the human race, can unleash if we work together instead of against each other. One of the historic places is the old landing site. Here, we set foot on our red planet that we now call home. In an old landing district, we can find museums with our half-century-old history. All the progress is represented here in various forms, including art, Martian cultural displays, and even AIs and recorded thoughts of central figures in our history that you can still engage with today. Besides our proud heritage, you can find numerous tourist and wellness spots here. Humans from different planets love to visit Mars for its dazzling architecture. With just a third of the gravitational force of Earth, we can build mind-boggling architectural structures like the Burj Al Marikh that reaches up to the orbit. People use it as a giant elevator to the orbital platforms. In the past, we used to launch a space shuttle every time we wanted to go into orbit, but now it's just a 15-minute trip in an orbit capsule. The people of Earth also have this kind of elevator, but it took them decades to find a stable version. However, that's no surprise since a man weighing 100 kilos on Earth weighs just as much as a child on our beautiful Mars. Because of this, tourists can take short day trips to our moons, Phobos and Deimos. With our day and night cycle being slightly longer than the Earth's cycle, we're a fan favorite when it comes to vacation. Earth's moon was never a popular vacation spot because of its long day and night cycle. Besides that, tourists love going hiking in our rugged mountains and their long mountain chains. When it comes to food, we Martians have a cuisine that's known throughout our whole galaxy. Our grounds are rich in nutrients and minerals, and when we took plants from Mother Earth and adapted them to thrive on the surface of Mars, we opened up a whole new culinary world with unique dishes and a special Martian taste. Can you imagine that to this day, most food on Earth is sweet or salty, while most of our food has more exotic flavors that target the taste buds unheard of 300 years ago? It's similar to how we must have felt when the Americans were discovered and things like tomatoes, pepper, and tobacco were found. Because of our economic success and stability, we offer free food to every person on Mars. We invented the nutrition cream, made from our native plants, which not only tastes very good, but also provides everything your body needs. Eating in the classical sense is now something people do as a hobby. These nutrition creams have solved interplanetary hunger. The word hungry used to describe needing food, but now it's mostly used when someone needs something in general, like being hungry for knowledge. Living in Metropolia is very different from what it used to be when we first began exploring space. Metropolia is a highly vertical city, and people use small platforms to ascend hundreds of meters into the sky to reach their doctor's appointments. Back then, cities on Earth used to be expansive, with new buildings added to the outskirts of the city, while we on Mars utilized the space above our heads. Earth's skyscrapers look pathetic compared to our living houses. It's normal for someone to live on the 456th floor with bridges connecting buildings to one another. Despite our population of 15 million people being spread across a small area, most of Earth's small cities are larger when considering their width and length. Our infrastructure makes the impossible possible. It barely takes 10 minutes to travel from one end of Metropolia to the other. The arid deserts inspired our architects, and some people would describe our cities as looking like anthills without the dirt, with big bubbly structures connected by small tubes and bridges to guarantee fast transportation. In our free time, we engage in various sports and hobbies. One relatively new invention is asteroid settling. You choose an asteroid close to Mars's orbit and fly there by taking a small shuttle to land. So get your own asteroid and try it out. Most people use asteroids for pastime activities and build small allotment gardens on their surfaces, while others construct shacks and search for interesting things or even precious metals. A couple of decades ago, there was a literal asteroid rush, comparable to the gold rush of the Wild West on Earth. People found metals or space anomalies and became rich by selling their findings to scientists or selling metals to big companies. As Martians, we value our independence from Earth greatly. As the Earth space program expanded and more people started living on other planets, the general oversight over the inhabitants was lost. While these companies and international space programs focused on expansion and economic perspectives, there were people actually living on these space colonies with feelings, needs, and most importantly, our own culture and problems. For example, during revolts due to resource shortages or problems with supply chains, the Martian government had to react quickly. Long command chains through companies and countries on a completely different planet hindered progress and solutions on a small scale. While all space colonies, except for some small moons, are independent, we are all equal partners in the Great Space Coalition. Through this, we still have a centralized institution, just as all the governments on Earth merged into one big government at one point in history. The Great Space Coalition coordinates the plans and desires of all planets, and with their organization, we continue to research and discover new planets, materials, and means to progress as a human race. To this day in 2500, we're finding never-before-seen ways to heal diseases, produce energy, or even discover microscopic alien bacteria that challenge our understanding of life. What do you think about our life on Mars? Can you imagine vacationing on our beloved red planet? Perhaps you could even imagine living here permanently and becoming part of tangible human progress. While this has been a small glimpse of what the future could hold, what do you think life will look like on other planets in the year 2500?